Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah with my guest, Kendra Woods. I'm so excited that she has decided to join me and come on here and share, a little bit about her goodness. So, Kendra, tell the people a little bit about you and what it is that you do in the world.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, Tammy. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yes.
So a little bit about me. So I am, from a business perspective, I'll speak to that first. I'm what I call a human design and a business mentor. And human design is it's a beautiful, self-discovery tool that I use with my clients to help them with deconditioning and moving past their limiting beliefs so they can bring more of themselves into their business. I'm also a best-selling author, and I do some speaking, when I have the opportunity to do that. From a personal perspective, I guess you would call me a Southern girl, right? I live right on the Florida-Alabama line in the Gulf of Mexico. And so I've been here for a while, and I'm married, have 3 kids. Youngest one is 10. So, I stay busy. And my husband, you mentioned your husband's in the military. My husband is Air Force. So yes. So that is me.
That's right. That's right. Pensacola, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just got that. I love our military men, I must admit.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
It's all I've ever married. I think I like those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how did you get involved in the human design? That is the question that I just love to ask people in human design.
Yeah. So human design kind of found me. I'm a projector in human design. And so I have a really good friend of mine who we're really good friends, but we're also, business colleagues. And we have this thing where we talk to each other daily to, for accountability and all that good stuff. And she actually brought it to my attention. And she asked me if I heard about human design. And I was like, no, this is back in 2018. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard of that before. And, kept moving on. Then a few days later, she brings it up to me again. And I'm like, this is great. She's happy about it. I'm like, this is wonderful. Good for you, And then by the third time, she kind of got direct. She's like, I need you to look at this. She's like, I really think that you'll find it interesting. And so that's when I went and I did a search on my computer, actually. And I found that I'd actually pulled my chart like a year before, but it looked like a foreign language to me. Right. I was like, I don't know what is this chart. I don't know what these lines mean. And so I just kind of pushed it back and didn't really focus on it. So true to form, like I was invited into this world of human design through a really good friend of mine. And so once I learned what my type was and did all the Google stuff, how you get on Google, you just learn all the things. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a while, and then I read a book about it. And after that, and I really started making changes to, aligning myself to the truth of who I am and how my energy is designed to show up in the world. And I started seeing really massive changes in my business and my personal life. And so then I was like, well, I've got to bring this to my clients. And so that was back in 2019. And so since then, I've just been really, that is my focus. That is what I do. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what were you doing prior?
So prior to doing human design, I really just focused on mindset work. So I was a mindset coach. Okay. Prior to that, I've been in business now for about 6 years. And prior to that, I was in corporate. I was a healthcare executive with a healthcare company, if you will. Mm-hmm. And did healthcare. I've been in real estate, been in the restaurant industry. I've been in like several different industries, but this is like my thing. I'm like, I found my place.
I was gonna say, yeah. I laugh. I said it's almost like when you find your person.
Yes.
It's like you've dated and you've been here and you've seen this man and this type and the other type and that color and that that nationality and whatever, and then all of a sudden your person shows up.
Yes.
And you're like, this is what I've been waiting for, right?
Exactly.
That is so awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So what connected the dots for you? Was it the fact that you can look at your design and actually see yourself and then be able to I think about it like this, to be able to basically design your business
Mhm.
around your design?
Right. Exactly. So what connected first off, like when I first understood that I was a projector and was doing my homework around that and understanding what that meant, I did get a reading done as well because it's, of course, I mean, Google has a lot out there that you can tap into to learn from. But then the piece that was missing was, okay, how do I now take this and apply it? How do I take this and actually, what does it look like for me to
Yes.
apply it to my life, into my business? And so
Yes.
I got a reading done, which really helped me understand all the different parts.
Mm-hmm.
So, what connected the dots for me? Number one, it was very much validating for me because I am in human design, we're what a projector is considered a non-energy type, right? Like um, we're not here to be in the hustle and grind and going and working the traditional 9 to 5, 40, 50 hours a week. Like we are not designed for that. So that was the first thing that really lit up for me because I spent so many years in corporate doing that, grinding and pushing and forcing, and caused so many health issues for myself and burnout and all kinds of things. And so understanding how my energy is designed to show up in the world, it helps me to approach my business from a space of really just what I call like leaning back, right? I'm not, in the beginning of my business, I was like, okay, I've got to be doing this every single day. And I have to make sure I'm writing a blog post every single day. I have to make sure I'm doing like, and I was putting all this pressure on myself to show up. Where when I learned how I'm, you know, genetically designed to show up, I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to be pushing myself that hard. I can still do those things, but I can do them in a different way that's more aligned with how I'm meant to show up. So I work really well in spurts of energy, showing up and working 2 to 3 hours straight, boom, getting it done, and then giving myself a moment to rest and recalibrate. And
Mm-hmm.
then, so it really helped me to understand how to work with myself
Yes.
and to design my business in a way that works for me.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
know that's something will help everyone really in
Hmm.
business, especially if you're, because this is what I've found when you're going from being an employee to being, the boss,
Yep.
it's a whole different mindset. And for me, I noticed that I was like button up against some things and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I was like, I'm doing the work, I'm doing my shadow work,
Yep.
I've done my DNA activation and
Hmm.
and I'm doing all this different healing work because I've decided that I wanted to heal myself,
Yeah.
because I said I can't, I mean, how can I call myself a healer if I can't, work on myself? I mean, not
Hmm.
that you can heal everything yourself, but some things you can. And
Hmm.
so I this was my mission this year for me. And
Hmm.
so human design I found. So
Hmm.
when I looked at your stuff and I was like, she's human design, I definitely got to talk to her because I mean that needs to be, everybody that is in business needs to have a session,
Hmm.
because you need to know, how you can run your business from a place of alignment, just like you said.
Right.
So I'm super
Yeah.
excited about that particular piece of it.
Yeah.
What is the ideal person that you're looking for? Like your ideal client, what does that look like for you?
Um, so my ideal client is very much an ambitious, high achieving woman who is heart centered, of course, right? I talk a lot about operating from the heart space, from the soul space, um, but who was also driven by purpose. So a lot of the women that I work with, they're entrepreneurial. And I say entrepreneurial because some of my clients are in business for themselves 100%. That's their main form of income. And some are still in corporate, but they're building the business on the side so that they can
Mm-hmm.
leave corporate and do this full time.
Yes.
Um, and they are very much aligned with, and they know instinctively, whether they say these words or not, but they know that in order for them to be their highest self and to show up and be in their excellence, that they need to do the personal work, right? The inner work, the getting past the limiting beliefs and the stories and all that good stuff, so that they can be their authentic self.
Yes.
Um, and they're lifelong students. Like I find the women that I work with, it's like they have this insatiable like appetite for learning about themselves and how they can be the best.
Yes. And do you work with like more of a certain age of a woman, or has it run the gamut?
Well, it's a wide age range from 35 to 60.
Okay. Hmm.
35 to 60. Yeah.
But we can do that now just
Hmm.
because of how society is.
Exactly.
Because you're not expecting, I mean, well, I don't, but you're not expecting people to die in their 50s and 60s anymore, even though they still are,
Right.
but you're not
Yep.
expecting that. The life expectancy
Hmm.
is, I got people where I work at that are 100 and
Hmm.
101. And I think one lady just died and she was 103 or something like that.
Yes. See, I plan to live to at least 100. Like I'm claiming, like I've got some work to do.
Me too. And I don't plan to be, sick and,
Mm-mm.
in the nursing home and can't do nothing for myself. I don't plan to be none of that.
Hmm.
That's why I was like,
That's
mm-mm,
right.
no, see, no.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So going forward,
Hmm.
what do you see for um, not only your future, but the future of human
Hmm.
design? Because for me,
Hmm.
I'm looking at it and it looks like it's going to be, you know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
it's
And
it's
no, I hear you. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
no, it's okay.
absolutely, it is like it's become something that's more. I mean, human design's been around for over like it was first. The person Ra Uru who channeled this whole like system. This was back in the 80s. When that happened. So it's been around for a long time, but it's
And we're
just
just starting.
now, right? But I feel like that the collective consciousness is now getting to a place to where it's like, oh, okay, I can see this now. I understand what this is about. And so moving forward, we're headed towards like in 2027, it's a big year in human design where we're shifting to more of a, instead of a survival based, fear based type of energy that we move from, it's going to be more of a desires based, based more on your feelings. What do you desire? What's your passion? What feels right for you? Which is completely different way of operating than operating from a place of survival and fear,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So we're moving into that level, and I feel like that where I see human design going is it is becoming something that gets to be integrated into the lives of every person, not just if you're an entrepreneur, right? But even if you are someone that works in corporate and that's your thing, even if you're a stay-at-home mom and your purpose in life is to be there and raising your kids up, I see it as something that every person can benefit from because there's so much, it's like a map, right? It's like like sometimes I call it your soul print. And so it helps you to understand how to show up in business. It helps you to understand how to show up in relationships, helps you understand your children, right? Like I've ran charts on all of my kids to like, oh, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's why she needs this time alone for herself. This is why this one here is so like always, verbally saying something and got something going on. Like in that
Mhm.
understanding, I believe, breeds a different way of us all interacting with one another.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Right?
Because I ran my children's charts too.
Yeah.
And found out that I was a reflector raising manifestors.
Oh, interesting.
I wish I had known that back at the time when I was raising them, but my daughter's 32
Hmm.
and my son is 30. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing their things, but I actually shared with them because I was like, y'all need to know this stuff. And I think y'all should,
Yeah.
check it out. But for me,
Absolutely.
when your children get old, for me, I plant seeds. I don't tell them
Yep.
what to do. I don't tell them
Oh.
I say, I think you should do, but I don't,
Hmm.
I'm like, here, this is something I found. I thought it
Yeah.
was something you might, benefit from.
Hmm.
And, so I send it to you because my
Yep.
children are all in Texas. But yeah, so
Yes.
it's like, yeah. And I actually spoke to a young lady when I had my chart done because
Hmm.
I am I call it super religious background kind of.
Hmm.
And so it was very difficult for me to transition in this way when I started feeling this call to go in this direction of
Yep.
energy and healing and all that. And
Hmm.
so I couldn't really understand like astrology at all
Hmm.
because they said that was of the devil.
Right. Yes. I relate so much.
So I think I had a block, you know what I mean? And I'm really just being able to kind of understand, because I have been working on that thing, because it
Yeah.
was deep,
Yep.
because I was
It is.
raised that way, and yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the only thing that saved me was my grandmother was a pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, prophetess type.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that God called her to open her own church.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did, because the men wouldn't in the church wouldn't let her preach. They wouldn't let a woman
Exactly
get in the
right.
pulpit. They wouldn't, they let her be the missionary mother so she could get up and do an invocation, and that was it. But she was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
God called me to preach. And so she did started her own church and everything and all that. But she also was so progressive. Like, a lot of people didn't know she was into, like, before she died, Abraham Hicks and Louise
Oh,
Hay,
wow.
all of that.
Yeah.
And she was trying to bring it in, but the people were so
Wow.
religiousized, and she would meditate and stuff. So she taught me all about that, because I was her child.
Oh, what a
I was
gift.
her favorite grandchild.
Yes.
Now my cousins are gonna watch this and be like, she not need to stop showing off.
Right. Right.
It's just a lot. It's like I got like 30 first cousins on that side. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot,
Oh my gosh.
so everybody's like, everybody wants to be the favorite. So we all just, every time we're like, I was the favorite.
Exactly. And look, and that's all that matters. Like y'all don't have to believe that, but I'll just believe
Exactly.
within myself. I'm the favorite.
Exactly. Oh, I
Yes.
think that's just awesome.
Yes.
All right. So how does your husband feel about the human design?
Mhm.
Is he on board, or did you read his chart?
Yes, I did. And I keep saying I'm going to do a reading for him. I haven't done one yet, but I do talk to him about it. And he finds it fascinating, right? Like, of course, this is not his lane,
Right.
like he's a military guy, he's a firefighter. This is not his lane, but he's so open to understanding, like, okay, well, what does this mean? Or like when I tell him, like, he's a generator and I'm a projector. So when I help him to understand that, okay, I can't be going and going and going and going like you do. I need to rest, right? Like rest is like
Love
I have to
language.
reboot. Yes. I'm like, I have to reboot. All of this stimulation that you like, I can't handle all that. It makes me overwhelmed, and then I can't, focus, right? So it's helped him to understand me more and him to understand himself more and why he does things. So he so he gets it, right? Like he's not all deep into it like I am, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
always very much open to understand, like, oh, okay. When I explain to him, about our kids, I'm like, okay, like the youngest one, she's a projector. And actually, my youngest daughter and son, like they're both projectors. And then our daughter, who's the oldest, she's a manifesting generator. I'm like, so, and I just help him to kind of see the dynamics when they're together and how that plays out. And so that helps him to be aware of, oh, okay, now I know why, they do this, or this
Because they
person
don't
needs.
know either. They don't
Right.
know. They're doing their design.
Exactly. They're just
Yeah.
being who they are. So I get to share it a little bit more with my youngest daughter because she's here in the house and she's always kind of like, well, what is, she's 10. She's, well, what is this, mommy? And what does
Oh
that mean?
yeah.
So
They're
get to share that
sponges
with
at
her
that
a bit.
age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. I was just
yep.
wondering, because I know I've talked to a lot of people. I've done a lot of interviews, I think.
Uh-huh.
And some people have like so much support, like my
Mm-hmm.
husband is the same, he's
Yeah.
open. I actually
Yep.
did his DNA activation for my course,
Mm-hmm.
how you have to have your model. He was my
Yep.
model, so I activated his DNA and all that stuff, and then we began to watch things that happened with him, in the
Mm-hmm.
show, because he's intuitive as well. And I'm like, okay. And but he's open like that as well. And I think
Yeah.
it's amazing when you have a partner that's open like that. It's so much easier,
Right.
because you're already, battling society with
Mm-hmm.
these type of um things that we do.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
powerful.
Yes.
Powerful. So I was going to ask you, if you, what in the world are you curious about that has nothing to do with
Mm-hmm.
business or your life? You want me to give you an example?
Yeah, give me an example.
Okay, so mine was, I was asked this question, and so I thought it was a good question to ask.
It is.
Right? So mine was, why in the future do we have to go back to riding horses and getting water out of a thing and using an outhouse and all this stuff in the future, like The Walking Dead and all these shows, and then we're then the apocalypse, but we don't got no cars, and we can't fly in a plane, and why do we have to go all back like that? That's my
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Oh goodness. This is going to, gosh, this is going to sound real weird. I'm fascinated by the human being. Like, human beings fascinate me. But what I love is,
they tickle me.
yes, like I love to watch shows about, they have these, Tammy, do not judge me.
No judgment.
They have these shows that about like serial killers and things that they do. Like, I'm fascinated by the mind. Like, I just want to know, like, what,
how does it work?
I'm like, what is it that's in here that just clicks, that just makes you believe that this is okay, or I've got to do this, or I have this urge? Like, that fascinates me. And it's such a weird thing. It's not something that I could, like, that I sit around talking to my friends about, like, girl, like, I wonder. But internally, when I look at these different shows and the things that people have done, being serial killers or whatever, I'm like, like, I would love to just have a conversation about what goes on in your mind. What is it? Like, what happened? Like, why is this okay?
I was going to say, what went wrong? That's what you mean.
Right. What clicked?
I mean, especially when you see the ones where everybody else is normal in the family, right, and they're just like Dexter.
Exactly.
One of those type of things is like, I feel the same way, because, and I'm the same way as you. It's like studying. I'm studying. Right now I got like 4 books right here, and I got about 4 over there. I got about 18 in the phone,
Yes.
So I'm studying, because I'm like you, I just love to learn, and I just want to know. But I feel the same way. That's not strange. I do the same thing. I watch the serial killer and the women in prison shows to see, because I'm the same way. I want to know, what gets in your mind. You and I, I haven't murdered anybody, and you probably haven't either. No. But we haven't murdered anybody, but I'm sure that there were times when you felt like you could. So what stopped you and pushed them?
Right. That's the thing. It's that, like, I'll call it that darkness, right? Like, I feel like because I believe in polarity, right? There's hot and there's cold. There's, like, we live in a world of duality, right? So it's there. Yes. It's just some of us manifest this side of it, the other side, some of us manifest the other side of it. And so, that's where my curiosity comes in. I'm like, so why? Like, I just imagine myself in the afterlife, like, having lots of questions.
I know that's
like, why did this happen? And why did that happen? Can you tell me, can you explain this to me?
I was going to say, and I want to know, why did I have to get my money stolen?
Right. What was the lesson there?
Because I don't think I got it.
Right.
Make sure you keep up with your purse. I mean,
right.
I'm paranoid with it.
Exactly.
That's so funny. but that's good though, because the thing is we need to know, and a lot of people, people are studying that stuff, but I think that people like us need to be studying it. Yeah. People that are into, that know that energy is energy, and that everything is energy.
Yes, and it matters.
Yes, and that's the thing. I'm like, we need more of us in these fields,
Yes. Yeah. See, and that's why I love human design so much, because for me, human design really, it gave words to energy.
Okay.
Like, there were so many things that, when you know something and you know it in here, but for some reason it's hard, you can't articulate it. You're like, I don't have the words for this. And I feel like that with human design, it's like, oh, I have the words to really help people understand that feeling that you've been feeling most of your life, and you couldn't really tune into what that was. Here's what that is, right? Or that it just gives words to that. And I think, and words are powerful, right? When you have a word for something, you can begin to operate differently
Yes.
when you have that understanding of it. It's like, oh, okay. And you show up different.
Yes. It's like
So,
if you knew that you couldn't fail,
mhm,
right? Then you would show up differently.
exactly.
And if you weren't thinking about, how many people are going to watch this live, or,
Right.
whatever, if you weren't even
Yes.
considering that, then you could show up differently.
Yes.
You
And
know,
that is it.
yes, that's the piece,
Mhm.
right? It's like,
That's the piece.
I saw a friend of mine's post yesterday, and it was about a diffuser.
Mhm.
And she was talking about how excited she was for this diffuser, and it's one that plays music.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's a diffuser. I think it's probably what is that thing she does? Young Living, or one of those.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a diffuser that plays music, and she showed it, and she showed how it diffused, and she was like, I'm just so excited about it, and blah blah blah. And so first thing I said was, well, how can we get it?
Right.
And then somebody else chimed right underneath me, said the same thing,
Yeah.
and so she was like, well, I wasn't really posting it, for that. And I'm like, that's the key. That's
Mhm.
how we post.
Yep.
She said, I was just sharing my excitement. And
Exactly.
that's what I said. I said, there you
Yes.
go. I said, girl, you stumbled on it.
Mhm.
Because she was struggling
Yes.
in business too. And I was
Mhm.
like, girl, you stumbled on, the key.
Exactly.
It's like what? I was like being excited and just
Yeah.
sharing,
Yeah. And that's
not,
all it is.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
We overcomplicate it in our minds. Like I know I've done it several times. I just overcomplicate the whole thing. It's like just keep it simple and
Well,
share and be.
yes. And not only that, people are simple,
Mhm.
and they ain't going deep no way.
Mhm.
You'd be like, yeah.
Right. Right.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Um, so I had another question for you. Let me see where we are on time. Okay, we got 4 minutes. All right. So my question for you is, do you see people really beginning to open up to human design, and the results that your clients get? Do they make the changes that are necessary in order to propel them where they want to go? I mean,
Mhm.
easily, or how does that work for you?
Oh, but easily, that's the key word. Because I think that yes, are people opening up to absolutely, right? It's just absolutely people they're curious. They want to know, well, what is this about? And
Mm-hmm.
and I get some questions from those who are had a very religious background, right? Which I was the same way. I
Mm-hmm.
had to go through that deconditioning as well, who were like,
Yes.
well, I don't know, like I don't like how does this? And so and I'm very open. I'm like, let's have that conversation. Let's talk about it. Now when it comes to actually doing the work, that's where it can feel a little hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you have a reading done, right, you're shown all of your gifts and your genius and all that good stuff. But then on the flip side of that is, okay, here's where the conditioning lies. And that is where the work comes in, where it can feel really hard because it's just like, a computer system that's running a certain program, it knows how to run it. You've got programs within you that just know how to run. You're not thinking about them. You're not trying to make them happen. They're just doing their thing subconsciously. So
Mm-hmm.
when you start doing the work of deconditioning that to get to your truth with what you actually resonate with, that program is like, no, thank you. This is no. What are you doing? Like all this resistance comes up. So I think that the people that I work with, they work with me because they want to move through that,
Yes.
but they understand that it's like, okay, I know I'm not going to do this by myself
Right.
because I'm going to come up against the resistance or the trigger or the thing, and I'll easily fall back into my pattern of how I used to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, because they understand their design, right? They see where the vulnerabilities lie and they learn how to move through them. Once we're done working together, like they have the tools, they have the practice now and the
Yes.
experience of what it's like to move through that. They know that what is normal. right? Because I think when we start doing this work of healing work and mindset work and deconditioning and really aligning with our truth, the thought of it sounds really good. But like, yes, that sounds good. That's what I want to do. When we don't realize that it's actually going to be a little uncomfortable,
A
but
lot.
a lot, right? But that's normal.
Yeah.
But that's normal. You're supposed to feel like you want to go back and crawl under the covers and hide, right? But if you don't know that, you just fall back into the program of
I was
like,
gonna say you'll run.
exactly. You're like, I'm out of here. So I think once you get practice with it, it becomes easier. I mean, I've been doing this work for over a decade, not just like in human design, but just personal development, like work for myself, pretty much really my whole life. And so now I'm at a point where I see something come up. I was like, oh, okay, I know how to deal with this, but it still doesn't mean it's easy, but but it's easier for me to drop into doing the work because of the practice,
because you have the tools.
Right.
That's powerful. That is powerful.
Yeah.
So let the people know how they can contact you, how they can get in connection with you, where they can find you. And then if you have anything that you want to share as far as, an offer or something like that.
Yeah. Well, where you can connect with me, I'm on the social medias, right? I call them the socials. Instagram, I'm at Soulful Success by Design on Instagram. On Facebook, I have a group actually on Facebook that I like to spend time in that's called Soulful Success by Design. Website wise, it's my name, KendraKWoods.com, K-A-Y, KendraKWoods.com. So you can find me there. I love mainly to connect on social. So if you find me there, I'd love for you to connect with me. As far as offers, we've been talking about human design a lot in our conversation. So if anyone's interested in having a human design reading done, I call them, soul activation readings, definitely reach out to me and let me know. I have 2 different types. I have one that's a foundational reading that's literally just foundational. We go over the type, the strategy, the authority, that's it. And then I have a deep dive soul activation that, that's for the person who's like, I need all the things. Give me all the things around my human design blueprint, and we dive into that. So yeah.
That is so powerful. I know that's powerful, because for me it was, I put it off for a while, and then I had a girl offer like a mini one or something like that. And so then I did her deep dive because she offered a special something, or I don't remember what it was, some holiday. And so I was like, okay, I need to look at this. And because I Googled, but it's so confusing.
It is.
And then some people, they don't say nothing. Like they're like, I seen some YouTube videos. I was like, what are they even talking about?
It's like a foreign language.
Yes. I'm like, oh my God. I already feel like I'm in university.
Yes.
I'm studying all the time. I'm like, oh my God. And then I looked at that thing and I was like, because of course, like you said, it looked Greek. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you hanging out with me. It's been so good, Kendra. And everyone else that has joined us, it's been amazing. And this has been a conversation that I have been waiting to have. And I'm super excited that we've done it today. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, Kendra, for joining me today. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will talk again next time. Bye now.